Okay, so basically all we need to do is remove these old graphics. The best way to do that is just peel them off. Sometimes they're on there pretty good, sometimes it's a little bit of a pain, but get the old fingernails to work, get them coming off, and there's really no other way around it. If they're really old sometimes and they're all cracked up, sometimes you could rub it down with some of the goof off or similar type of adhesive removers that I'm going to show you in a minute, and it might soften it up to make it a little more friendly to remove. Definitely can't rush this part. The faster you pull, the smaller the pieces you'll get. That is frustrating. Okay, now I've been doing this for 20 years, and you see that this, still after all that time, I haven't found a better way to do this. So, you know, sometimes you just got to bite the bullet, bring yourself a cool beverage, get patience out, and then before you know it, you'll be done. There's a little bit of residue from adhesive here, so you can take any kind of adhesive remover, goof off, any kind of rubbing alcohol, you know, or similar products. Just get it on a rag, and then you should be able to wipe it all off. Depending on how long it's been on the truck or vehicle, kind of affect how easy or difficult it comes off. It seems to be real stiff. A lot of times you can go over it, get it wet with one pass, which will allow it to start soaking in, start softening up, and then it should, you know, start coming off a little bit easier. Definitely want to make sure it's all off of here, because any little bit of residue that remains will just pick up dirt as soon as you start driving it, and next thing you know, it'll stand out like a sore thumb. And in order to get it off at that point, you probably have to ruin your new decals. Now we're going to talk about two different ways to install. Okay, there's a couple ways, they're both pretty simple. One is a wet application, and one is a dry application, depending on how gutsy you are. Wet application, basically all you do is you take some kind of soapy solution. You know, you can even go as far as just use Windex straight out of the bottle. The only thing with Windex is you'll have to make sure you're not driving anywhere for, you know, an hour or two, because it'll take a little while before it sticks. Because the Windex will create a slippery barrier that allows you to slide it around and reposition it. Usually what we just use is some soapy water in a bottle. Basically at that point, I only have one decal, so I'm just going to walk you through it without actually doing the installation. And then I'll show you the more difficult but dry installation. With that installation, basically what we have the decals here on a backing paper with the tape that holds them all together, because they're all individual little letters. So basically all you have to do is you peel the backing paper off, and once it's all gone, you spritz down the back of the decal, making sure it's covered but not saturated. And then with the backing paper gone, you basically just put the decal on the truck, and now with the slippery solution, you'll be able to slide around and position it. And really, because of all these body lines and everything, a lot of times you can't measure and you can't make it identical. Body lines aren't level with the earth. This and this line are not level with each other, so usually it's a matter of putting it on here, stepping back a few feet, and kind of looking at it to make sure it's visually, you know, as good as it can be to the human eye, you know, for the particular vehicle you're working with. So at that point, once you put this on here and it's wet, I mean, don't take too long, because the solution starts to dry up and then it starts to stick. But you step back, kind of look at it, maybe get a second opinion, whoever happens to be around, does that look straight, what do you think? And then finish positioning it wherever you can. And basically for the simplest thing, so you don't have to really use anything you're not going to have around anyway, grab a credit card out of your wallet. And once it's stuck on, again, without the backing paper there, and the solution behind it, just kind of squeegee it all down, la-di-da, done deal, and then you let it dry for a little while until you can peel this paper, this tape off without the decals coming off anymore. The decals remain stuck to the truck. And then once that's removed, the only thing you'll have left is the individual pieces of the decal sitting there. Okay? With that said and done, now we're going to go ahead and do the installation on this dry method. So that way we can show you that one. Now, the only thing we really need for the dry installation method is a little bit of masking tape. You can even use Scotch tape, it really doesn't matter. Basically, we take a little tiny bit of the masking tape and we just kind of stick it onto each corner. Boom. And then we tack it up here onto the door momentarily so we can step back and kind of look and again visually see if it looks correct. After looking at this, I think maybe the front comes down a little bit. So you just kind of hold it in place. I feel it and I barely slide it down a little bit. Check it again. Kind of look. Maybe get a second opinion. And then okay, I think that looks good. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just simply going to run a piece of tape across the top. We're going to call this a hinge. Now with this hinge, we're just going to take our credit card back out. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to flip this up. We're going to start peeling back our backing paper. We're going to start kind of squeezing this down as we go with the credit card. And then kind of as we go, and as we get to a point where we kind of want to pull this backing paper off. Sometimes a little piece of the backing paper will stick with it. Just want to make sure you get any little pieces. Just finish squeezing it on down. Nice and gentle. Doesn't take much. Boom, just being careful, take your time. And then at that point, this is now a dry installation that you can immediately pull all this transfer tape and masking tape and everything off. And you should be done and out of there, as you can see, probably in the equivalent of what maybe just took us, 30 seconds to a minute to do the entire installation. That way, if you don't have time to sit around with the truck where it's not going to be going anywhere, you can do a dry installation in a few minutes. It is a little easier to mess it up, so if you have the time, you might want to do peel it back, spritz it, and stick it on, and let it sit for an hour. But it's entirely up to you, whatever you feel like doing. Basically, that's the installation. Put your credit card away. You shouldn't have much else left into it. Thanks very much, people.